Hello, welcome to the director and producing, writing, and Dave Brunt commentary of Hobo with a Shotgun. My name is Jason Eisener.
I'm Rob Cotterill.
I'm John Davies.
And we've got the captain.
David Brunt.
Right now we're on David Brunt's ship, so we're under his command. Right off the bat here, this first opening shot was shot with the Canon T2i. Basically, we just dug a little hole in the train tracks and set the camera in and just let it roll right on over it. Luckily, it did not fuck up the camera.
No, not at that point.
These opening credits are very inspired by a film I love called Billy Jack. I think it's really important that filmmakers pay really close attention to the fonts of their opening credits. I've always said that I think you can know when a filmmaker knows what they're doing when you see the opening font for their movie. And so that's something that's very important for me when designing opening credits for my movies.
Yeah, we also, to go with the fonts, we used the Technicolor logo. We went for some vintage Union logos and the Technicolor thing to have, just to bring it back to the era of films that inspired us in this credit sequence.
I remember bringing up the idea of putting the Technicolor logo on the opening credits, and that was really foreign to our producers and production team. They didn't really understand why I wanted to do it, but they now see the importance of it. And it's actually funny, sometimes in some of the screenings you'll see the audience react to that credit popping up on screen.
Yeah, it gets laughs, which is good.
And Technicolor were very pleased with it as well too. They were very proud to have their stamp on this movie.
Here's welcome to Scumtown, or Fucktown, or Halifax, Nova Scotia. One of the few moments that we did some CGI, and we added some burnt-out buildings and smoke and dirtied it up a bit.
So right here, this is the very first shot of principal photography for Hobo, which is probably technically one of the more technical shots, is because it's on... It's on a dolly.
One of the few dolly shots in the movie. We go to our first day, and we talked about not using a dolly, and Jason decides that the first shot's a 60-foot dolly shot.
When we were in prep, because of our low budget, we had to cut some things out, like jib arms and some dollies, and I asked our DOP, Kareem Hussein, what he thought we should do. And he works a lot in French cinema. And he just looked at me and said, well, the French would just do it all handheld. And I said, all right, well, that's what we're going to do. So I would say probably 95% of this movie is shot handheld.
Definitely.
God damn it! Help me! They're coming after me!
So this is, introing into... Fucktown and setting up, what happens in this town. And this is Rob Wells from Trailer Park Boys fame, who's, a local here that, a friend of ours that we wanted to have in the movie because he's amazing. And we just wanted to give him the honor to be the first guy that we do in.
The car you see right now is a Bricklin. Rob, you probably know the story behind the Bricklin a little bit more than I do.
I really don't want to talk about the Bricklin. It hurts me. This was our third day of shooting, and the first day that we actually had the car, this Bricklin, which is a really hard car to find, especially a white and black one, which we, with the color palette that Jason wanted and that we talked about, we needed to have a white one. And they only made 4 different colors, and the white was the rarest one. And we were doing that stunt of the car coming around the corner, and we did it a bunch of times, and it wasn't coming around hot enough, and we asked for more, and we ended up getting more, and the car ended up coming in too hot and basically tore out its back end on the curb. So we wrecked it on our first day. Our third day, but our first day with the car.
Yeah, so any other time you see the car...
it's crawling.
It's just creeping into shots because it borderline just had to be pushed into frame.
I swear to God, I mean that. Get your feet in that fucking death hole!
The neighborhood that we're in right now, we spent weeks and weeks looking for a location like this, and when we rolled into this neighborhood, I loved how there was the color combination of the homes being black and white, and it was important for me to have Slick Ivan and Drake wearing black and white, and their car as well too. I kind of wanted things to match a little bit, and maybe that some of Drake and his son's reign on the city not only is affecting their lives personally, but maybe even just the way the whole city looks as well too.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drake Show. Tonight's special episode is going to be filled with thrills.
Slick and Ivan, I think Davies can probably talk about that a little bit. They were very inspired from like our 80s childhood growing up. I would say Captain N was probably a big inspiration in just their look. This is like our evil version of Captain N.
Oh, for sure. And even the name Slick and Ivan came from our favorite video game on NGA's River City Ransom, as well as a lot of other characters in this movie.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time growing up playing River City Ransom in John's basement.
I knew he was a fucking coward.
I'll leave town. You'll never fucking see me again. Just please, I can't feel my legs, Drake.
Before this moment that's coming up, I guess we should talk about Brian Downey. I mean, a local talent that, is famous from being on the Lex TV shows that was shot in Halifax. And he just came out, and we needed a showman, and he came out and gave us a showman to, an extraordinary degree. And I just, can't say enough about how he just rocked this part.
Oh, Brian was amazing. It's just, I don't think any of us ever pictured the Drake as cool as he made the Drake. He really brought that character to life.
Yeah, it was amazing working with him. He brought so many ideas, and he was just so fun to have on set, and he would just inspire the crew. Just his energy being on set was it was very attractive, and just like it pumped the crew up. And I think a lot of the crazy world in this movie rests on the shoulders of Drake, and his performance is just so crazy that it just lends to the whole world of the movie, and the world of Scumtown is just fucking incredibly crazy.
As you can see from the girl dancing and the neck blood.
Yeah, she rocked that dance hard.
Yeah, there was a lot of logistics that went around in making that whole neck thing happen. Getting a person in a sewer hole is a whole rigmarole with the city, and there, because of methane levels and gases, you need to have special equipment in there to monitor what's going on in the sewer. And fortunately, Jason's dad had the license to be able to do that, and so he came down and helped us out these 2 days we were shooting while we had someone in that hole. But it was also logistically how we were going to get this neck to spray all that blood. And what we ended up doing was we had a huge compressor pump going from another manhole with pipes going through to that one to be able to, so we wouldn't see it obviously, to spray all that volume of blood. Like we went through, I don't know, like 60 gallons of blood on that shot.
The sign off that Ivan gives, "Don't forget to wash your dicks," that was inspired by Bob Barker and The Price is Right, where he has his sign off of have your pet spayed or neutered. And we knew we needed a game show sign off, so Davies quickly came up with that one. We had an amazing third AD on this shoot by the name of Preston Hudson, a.k.a. The Mouth. And in order to get some of those reactions we wanted from the crowd watching Logan's head get ripped off, he would just like give the craziest direction to the crowd. I remember him screaming, "Some things cannot be unseen. 2 girls, 1 cup." And he kept screaming that over and over. And I'm sure some of the background performers had no idea what 2 girls, 1 cup was, but they gave the performance we needed, and it worked. That lawnmower commercial you see, it was done by a good friend of ours by the name of Mallory Glenn, who also stars in that little clip. She plays the older woman in that commercial.
Yeah, it kind of grew out of an idea that Rucker once said we should have a commercial playing there where he goes to see the lawnmower to bring some life to that moment for him, and it worked out amazing.
Yeah, we only had, we came up with the idea, I think, like 2 days before we shot the scene. And so she went out, got some local actors together, and she just shot that. And when I arrived on set, that was playing on TV, and it was such a great surprise.
Yeah, it was a lot of work for other people not Jason.
Right.
And it's really cute.
It is.
I guess the movie, it kind of starts off in the world of like 70s exploitation films and then quickly makes its way into an 80s exploitation film. And I think this is kind of the beginnings of that. And I guess I got to pay a lot of good tribute to Adam Burke, who was one of the 4 composers on the movie. And whenever I needed something to kind of have a John Carpenter vibe, I'd go to Adam because Adam just knows that world so well. And so we start this scene off with some synthesizer, and you'll see a lot more throughout the film.
Yeah. And the transition in the 80s is basically on the cut to the interior of this building.
Yeah.
And this scene coming up was always inspired by the Ninja Turtles arcade scene. In that movie, we always wanted something crazy like that where young people can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Davies and I, one of our favorite films growing up was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can still remember my first screening of that film in theaters and just seeing and hearing the audience's reaction to that movie. I still haven't been to a movie that was quite an experience like that. And so yeah, this scene is kind of our little tribute to Ninja Turtles in a way.
Did you all notice how fast the Bricklin pulled into that position? Just a reminder that the car's fucked up. This poor sucker here that's being held down by these punks and about to experience that. That's my dad. We needed someone at the last minute, basically, to we needed a bald head because we had a bunch of extra heads that we could to blow up, and this was the gag that we designed here. So we needed someone bald, and I thought, of course, of my father, who's got a Kojak style.
And there's our buddy, sorry
head.
to cut you off, but
Yeah.
Thomas from Austin, who flew down for the shoot, his little cameo. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. He got to eat my dad's neck guts.
Where the fuck you going? Business with Dad.
The track you're hearing is by Simon Boswell. It's called Naked and the Dead. And it's a track that we found while we were cutting the movie. We needed something that was exciting and was pumping and that had kind of a punk vibe to it. And I came across that song off one of my favorite movies called Phenomena. And we asked Simon Boswell if it was okay if we could use this track for the movie, and he was totally down. He was very excited and very appreciative that we thought so highly of his music and wanted to have feature his music in the movie.
That video game machine here that Otis is getting pushed up against the Plague Machine it's a beautiful work of art in a lot of ways. And Nat Jones, one of our favorite comic book artists, actually did some conceptual art on the Plague, and you can't see it now, but there's these great panels on the side of it that look like that he did, and it's a great machine that we love. When we saw that, when Jason saw it in its finished state, he was pretty stoked.
Oh man, it just blew me away. It was definitely a dream come true, that's for sure. And Matt Likely, who is part of our production design team, he came up with the little animation that's on the screen for the Plague game. And I just love how Grinder shoots his harpoon gun and it rips off a ninja's head, and then he shoots it off with his harpoon gun in the air. I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah. Our production designer, Ewan Dixon, and his team of Ewan, and he had other people obviously with him, Ewan and Matt, they really killed this movie. I don't know. For the kind of budget that we had and the look that we got out of this movie, those guys, I don't know how they did it, honestly.
Yeah, and it was so amazing. It was very important for us that the production team, costume department, and Kareem Hussein, the DOP, work very closely together. I love it when films have a symmetry between their production design and costumes and the lighting. And that was very important for me, and we stress that a lot. So they spent a lot of time working closely together. I love it sometimes when a costume will match like a piece of something in the background of a set, or the lighting like complements both those things. I just find that something to be very interesting. It's so visually pleasing.
For sure. One thing that we did to really help that was Kareem graciously moved into my basement for 3 months before we actually went into prep of the movie. And what we did was we went through every scene and every variation of the script and kind of came up with a color palette.
Yeah.
And what we would do, Jason and him would, rip apart Little Lee filters, and we'd staple the color palettes for each scene to the scenes in the script that we ripped apart. So when we came into prep, we could go to the production designer and we could go to Sarah Dunsworth, our costume designer, and say, this is our palettes that we've planned for the movie. And they took that, and it really helped them to help design and make what Jason wanted and make all these things blend together.
Yeah, it was such a blessing to have Kareem with us for so long before the shoot. Like, he came not even knowing if we were greenlit. He just came down to, like, support us and be behind the team and help us to get the film off the ground. And so it was just such a treat to be able to go to all those locations, figure out where we were going to put our lights, what the colors were going to be. And so when it came time to shooting, I didn't really have to give him that much direction. He just knew what he had to do, and he just did it. And that gave me more time to concentrate on the performances. And that was just such a great gift to have.
It was really the only way we could make this movie in the schedule that we had. We just prepped the shit out of it and knew everything, every step we had to take. We knew what it was going to be.
Shut your filthy mouth. Mother Teresa is a goddamn saint.
Yeah, my name's David C. Brunt. I met Jason Eisener 3 years ago when he worked at the Les Game Store. And one day I went in to play a game and to see Jason. And he asked me if I wanted to do a movie. And I said, sure, fine. I just figured it would just be like a homemade movie, but man, was I surprised. So I'm here to pay tribute to Jason Eisener, Rob Cotterill, John Davies, Adam Burke. And I'm here to pay tribute to the transport crew for the feature movie.
Yeah, you worked fairly closely with them, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
You told them how to fix their cars.
Yep, cars, trucks, everything. Yep, anything on wheels.
Yeah, it was very important for us that we had Dave on set every single day, and you sat right by the monitor with us.
Yes,
making sure everything was in line.
Yeah. Yes, I did that.
Yeah. You kept people in line, so there's no
well,
fucking
I didn't
around.
exactly keep them in line, but maturity and when you're working is a good thing. You can always fool around afterwards if you want to act silly, And
Dave, you'd always come. You were always. You were there for lots of people. I remember you were there for me because you'd see some look on my face and you said, "Rob,
yeah,
get that look off your face. You're making a movie. You better be happy."
Yes, I did.
And it always gave me, you always gave me the reflection.
Now is showing concern. Get rid of it. Now I know all three of you guys fear dogs to a certain extent. Same trick. You got to get rid of the damn fear because if you don't, you're going to get tore apart. And I ain't going to be there all the time.
Yes, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dave.
Davies, you address me as sir aboard the ship.
Yes, sir.
That's going on your report, son.
Copy that.
You get below.
So,
You can find the quarters.
Right here, we have the police chief is played by a local actor by the name of Jeremy Ankerman, who I saw his audition tape and was really into it, and I met him. I believe the first time we met him was at the script reading.
I'd met him many times before because I've worked in the industry in Halifax for a while, and he's been in a lot of shows. But yeah, Jason got to meet him at the script read through.
And I think Jeremy had only read his parts in the movie and didn't really know how crazy the film was outside of those moments. And I can remember looking over at him while we were doing the script read through, and I think he realized what he had gotten himself into.
and wasn't too sure whether or not that he'd made the right choice.
And at the end stood up and announced, well, it's not War and Peace. And then left the room.
But what was great was that he was really reserved about it at first, but he really got into it. And him and John worked really closely together on the script, and John gave him a lot of freedom to bring stuff to the table. And he really appreciated that and had a lot of fun with it. And so you'll see the scene coming up right after where they throw the hobo into the garbage. He had a line where he had to swear, and he was just like, I don't feel right saying this. And I said, listen, this is the movie where you get to say whatever the fuck you want. Anything that you wanted to say in a movie, you can just do it right now. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, all right, this is awesome. And he just went on and he just had a blast from then on.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been given the opportunity maybe to be that free in a movie, and he just embraced it. You know, he was terrified, I'm sure, at first, but he really came through. We love him.
Yeah, he's awesome.
When I first started doing the filming with Jason, I figured, well, this will probably take a week or two, but as it went on, I knew this was going to be a full movie trailer from what these boys taught me. You know, I sort of had to learn as I went along, and I did learn.
You certainly
did. You know, these guys are great teachers. And the chance to meet Rutger Hauer was a big event in my life, and I very much appreciate that too. You know, during the feature film, and where I played my part as a police officer, that really brought me up out of the doldrums and stuff like that. You know, they've really done a lot for me. So I only have these guys and the transportation crew for the movie to thank, and all the directors, producers, executives, and all the people in North America that have seen this so far. I'd like to say thank you and enjoy it.
Well, I'm
sure they're say something now.
Yeah, well,
I'm nice to these people. Watch the language, please.
All right.
This guy
Yes,
who just
sir.
drove away, he was one of my favorite characters, the large man we called him, because he was just a composite of pretty much every terrible thing I've ever heard people say in my life. I would just give every awful, awful line to him. And through the whole movie, there's a terrible story behind every line. I'll share some later on as he says them.
Yeah, growing up in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, you hear some pretty fucked up shit on the streets. Sorry about the language, Dave.
You're on report.
Damn it.
You keep it up one more word, and you're confined to quarters. I don't care.
So here we are in Abby's apartment.
I'll stay there till the end of the voyage.
And this was a set that we built, that our production team built, which they made it look appropriately greasy. It was really small, and as you'll see later, there's a big action scene to shoot in it, but we somehow managed to make it work.
Yeah, I remember arriving to the studio and seeing the set and thinking, oh my God, how are we going to shoot this action piece? But it worked out great, and the stunt team came up with some great ideas how to make it work in close quarters. And they got to shoot a little test video for that action set piece, so I got to see where possibilities of setting a camera up could be.
Yeah, they really worked to be able to realize what we wanted to do.
You seem like a smart and intelligent girl. You should be teaching.
So there's this scene coming up here, which I've always said I've been really inspired by you, Dave, about how people deal with pain.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome.
And how the hobo talks about sometimes you have to just tell your brain to shut it off and to just shut off the pain.
You can do that to a certain extent, but it depends on the type of pain. And you have to, it's better if you know yourself, then deal with it the best way you can.
Mm-hmm.
Use the resources that are available and deal with it the best way you can.
Yeah.
But it's got to be dealt with.
Absolutely.
All of these people that commit suicide that are on drugs and everything else, all over North America and up here as well, here in Canada, you know, it's got to come to a stop at some time. You gotta better your chances, better your life, go to school, stay in school, get a career, get a life, settle down.
It's good to settle down.
After a certain amount of time, yes, it is. I mean, look at me. I'm 5 months away from the golden 50.
That's awesome.
That's why I want you guys to call me the old man. Been around a lot longer than you three have.
So, hey, Dave, this scene coming up here in the bedroom is the bear speech scene. Do you want to give us some of your own insight to bears?
What do you want to know? What do you got?
Well, I'm sure you got a lot you can.
What
do you got?
What should you not do around a grizzly bear?
Distance. Distance. Don't crowd them too close. 2, don't try to approach. 3, it is not a pet. It's a wild animal. It's 800 pounds. It's got the power of a D6 Caterpillar bulldozer. It can tear down small trees and it can tear you down with it. Make you look like a jigsaw puzzle in a box. 500 pieces. Where it says on the box 5 to 7 years, probably take 7 years to put you back together, Jason, if you got attacked by one of them. But the thing of it is, they're a wild animal and they prefer solitude. They'll defend their territory, their cubs, and their food. All of these tourists that go out to western Alberta every year and everywhere else where there's parks and bears, people and bears don't really mix. And I don't know if my message is getting through out there.
I don't know, man. I think you got to be a little stronger with them.
Well, maybe this is your opportunity to tell them, Dave, because they might hear this.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, how many people are going to listen?
Hopefully,
well, if there's only one, at least that's something.
at least you saved one life. So let's save a life right now.
All right. Right now they're in hibernation. I'd probably have to do this in midsummer.
People will be watching this any time of year, Dave.
But for the people going out into bear country this spring and summer, if you're not going to listen, don't go there. And I say this to all the forest rangers. If the people are not going to listen to you guys, you call the cops. Then they'll listen. You guys have to impose stricter fines, stricter conditions around these animals. I've been reading up on these animals 17 years now, just this past month. And what I've learned, I've managed to cut the crap from the facts. I prefer fact on these animals, and my studies are going to continue. Now, it's okay to see any bear from a distance. Bears like distance. They don't like the smell of people. And I don't think they really like what they really don't like the look of people. Me, I don't like the look of some people. I got 2 older sisters I don't like the look of, but that's besides the point. But the thing of it is, if you want to see wild animals such as bears, get a camera with a telephoto lens with at least 600 or better. And keep your distance. You can take all the photographs you want. Those of you guys that hunt them, go ahead and hunt them. But I ain't guaranteeing your safety. I ain't gonna. You get attacked, your fault. Your gun jams, you're in trouble. I can't help you. You guys ain't gonna listen to advice? Well, fine, go ahead. Have fun.
I think if people are going to hunt grizzly bears, they shouldn't be allowed to do it with a gun. They should have to do it with either their own claws or a stick.
Hold it, son.
Maybe a knife.
Hold it, son. People don't have claws.
Some people can grow them.
Why did I ever go to sea? Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't mind him. He's just having an ADHD moment. He'll be over it. He'll be over it in 3 or 4 minutes after come upside his head with a length of 2x4. But don't worry about him. Yeah, folks. Like I said, enjoy all wildlife, whether in the sea or on the land. But respect them. Give them their distance. Let them be free, and they will appreciate you better in their own way if you do that.
I think that's good advice.
I think so too.
Yeah. I've read enough about them. I haven't been out in the field with them. And I debate whether I want to do that or not. Because I could be violating my own rules, but I'd like to see just one, even for a few minutes. Just so I could see his body language and what the bear would say to me. How would he act with me? What would the bear sense about me? Because it is a wild animal. Its primal and wild instincts are going to tell it something different, even though I might not mean harm. But the ball's in the bear's court, not mine.
Here's a scene here where we have Abby looking at a picture of a grizzly bear that the Hobo's left for her.
Yeah, that's a grizzly. You got to write this.
And you can see there's a magazine right next to it called Dino versus Bear. I don't know.
Our production team made that. Matt likely designed that for us.
How do you design a photograph? First take the camera and design it. You fellas didn't design it. What the hell's wrong with you, boy?
So speaking of bears, this is our bear about to go into, he's calm and quiet here, but he's about to erupt. Right, we're getting to the point where the hobo becomes the hobo with the shotgun here.
Yeah, you heard me right. I want 4 big fucking dogs. Uh-huh. Yeah.
The guy behind the pawn shop counter, that's Tim Dunn, who was the original voiceover of our original Hobo with the Shotgun trailer.
He was also the wreath maker in Treevenge.
Yeah, which is a short film we did a couple of years ago. I love working with Tim. He's an amazing man. He has an amazing, incredible voice. And I think he just has great screen presence as well, too. There's a Jesus hanging out in the left-hand corner.
Yeah, with some shotguns hanging out behind him. Conveniently placed.
You guys respect religion now.
Yes, sir.
You kids.
So here's our gang. You never get to see their faces, unfortunately, but they're all actually really good friends of ours.
Yeah, that's our sound guy right there.
Yeah.
And when he first held that gun in front of that baby's face.
Oh, you're gonna tell this story.
I can tell this story.
You're gonna tell, make me look
Come
bad.
on now, don't be hanging the people up, you guys. Tell it.
Basically,
Breaking the chain of command.
Xander, who's playing the guy with the witch mask on, he points the gun in the baby's face, and the baby just looks up and starts laughing at him. And he tries to get loud, and he keeps pointing the gun in the baby's face, and the baby just keeps on laughing and laughing at him. And Xander was feeling a bit down. He was like, I can't make this baby cry. I just can't do it. It won't have it. And the mother of the baby plays the lady right there. And Rob noticed that the baby had her mother in her eye line. And Rob just looked over at the mother and said, do you mind just stepping out of the baby's eye line for a minute? And as soon as she did that, the baby started crying, and we just rolled on it for probably like 9 seconds and then stopped it because we all felt pretty terrible.
Yeah. If you need a baby to cry, just come to me. I'll help it along.
Yeah, where Rutger Hauer comes in and says, I'll sleep in your bloody carcasses. Tonight, that was my original line during the trailer.
That's right.
Yeah, that was one of my original lines there, so he did a pretty good job there, I say.
He did pretty good, but I don't think it has the vinegar that your performance had.
Now you hold on, son. You just back it up a minute. Each person has their own technique and the own tone in their voice, so it's going to sound different. It's going to feel different on the set. Don't forget that.
The guy that the hobo just blew away there too he was the original pawn shop robber in the original trailer, Glenn Matthews.
He actually, when we pulled him back when he got shot, he got knocked out. He wouldn't wear a mouth guard, and basically what happened is he hit his jaw. He bit really down hard on his jaw when we flew him back into the counter there. And I remember calling cut and saying, Glenn, are you okay? And not hearing anything back from him for a couple seconds, and he came to, and he just had a massive migraine.
Fortunately, that was the last shot for him for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this here's one of my favorite scenes. This little punk here with eating the tape. Maybe his mother should have told him that he shouldn't put things in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? I won't go into details because we're on live mic here. But, some kids, right? I got 3 of them right here.
Fucking bitch! Stop wasting your time doing homework and get up on the block and make you some money! Come on, baby.
So John, Jason, and I all have our girlfriends in this movie, and this is one of them.
This would be my girlfriend playing the underage prostitute.
Yeah.
So John, did you write this scene just so that you could mac on an underage prostitute during the shooting of the movie?
I try to do that in most of my scripts. Yeah, I usually put in a
clear
questionable character.
You live your fantasies through your scripts.
Yeah.
And speaking of girlfriends, here's another one.
That's my girlfriend,
right
Krista
there
Como.
in the white slavery ring torture chamber.
Yeah. This scene was a lot of fun to do. Basically, on paper, this was just like a small little paragraph, but when we got to the location, we just had too much fun with the setup, and the production team really got into it, just made all the walls covered in blood. Rugger came to me and thought of the idea of cutting holes into his hat, and it was just getting really wild. We were adding lines. The Valentine's Day line was made up on the spot, and
It was so much bigger than what was scripted. This thing just grew into this crazy thing. It's amazing. If you can't tell, but the girls have hearts and blood sort of painted on them.
Who did that?
Davies. And here's a throwback to the original trailer too. The Santa Claus scene. We fought hard to keep our pedophile Santa.
We didn't fight too hard. Everyone loved him.
Yeah, I still remember the scene when I did the trailer where I painted the Santa Claus all over the inside of the Volvo. It wasn't a K car. You know how expensive a Volvo interior is. The car itself. For anybody out there who's ever bought one, I paid a pretty steep price for it. Yeah. Love a paint job.
And here we have as a reporter George Strombo, who is I guess quite a Canadian celebrity. He does a show here called The Hour, and Neve, our producer, met him on a trip to L.A., and he showed George our previous short film called Treevenge, and he just loved it. And Neve pitched the idea of the movie to him, and he thought it was just awesome. So when it came down to casting our reporter, Neve suggested that we ask George if he would be down, and of course he was. He flew himself down to Halifax. He spent a couple days with us, and it was just awesome. Like, the first day he had nothing to do, and he came to set, and he just wanted to help. He was getting his hands bloody. He wanted to help out with the blood rigs, and he just really got into it. It was so awesome having him on set.
Yeah, he's an amazing dude, and I'm so glad that he was able to do the movie.
Yeah, he always wanted to get killed in a film, and so we realized that dream for him.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Fuck no, I'm the Drake. Who's gonna fuck with me?
I'm slick. No one's supposed to fuck with me either.
I guess I have to mention here too, because I embarrassed you guys with your girlfriends in the movie. Mine here, but mine is unfortunately or fortunately topless. She's one of the girls with the bats swinging at the upside down hobo.
And so how did you convince your girlfriend to go topless in the movie, Rob?
Didn't take any convincing, actually. She was more than willing to go topless for Hobo with a shotgun. She has a burlesque troupe in town, as you know, and she's free on the upper body nudity.
Yeah.
So she actually got the people that are with her too. When at the last minute, we decided to have these topless swinging baseball bat girls, Drake girls. There she is.
See, I was too uncomfortable with topless girls. I thought it'd be nice if they were just in their bikinis, but Rob wouldn't have that.
No. Well, we were making an exploitation
Jason,
movie.
where's your sense of adventure?
Hang on. Exactly, Dave. We're making an exploitation
Hell's wrong
movie,
with you?
and to be a true exploitation movie, you need some boobs. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
And this was the perfect place to have them.
That's right.
And besides that, Kareem was living in the basement badgering me every day for 3 months that there had to be boobs in the movie, so I finally caved.
All right, so this next scene coming up caused us a lot of grief through prep, actually through the whole script writing process, every single process of making this movie. This scene has always caused us shit.
It's always come up. It's always been a pain. But we've always felt really strong about maintaining its integrity. And thank God our producing partner, Neve, felt the same way because he went to bat and really fought with our financiers to be able to keep this in the movie.
Yeah, he was more on the front lines than we were.
Yeah.
That opening shot there with the two ghetto blasters, that's a tribute to my good buddy Zach Carlson, who he suggested that idea to me. It was a shot he always wanted to see in a movie, and so when he suggested, two boom boxes being pressed at the same time and the song playing sync through both ghetto blasters, I just thought that was so cool.
I hate hobos.
And there you go.
So
That's my favorite song,
It's
Disco
funny.
Inferno.
Because we fought for this scene, but it's one of the only scenes that never changed in the script.
Well-
We'd always be working on everything, but from the first draft, this was just
One
this is
thing
what
we
we
took-
wanted.
One thing we told too through the whole process, we said we'd never see burning children. Like we never ever show that. And when we were in prep, actually before prep, we went out to shoot a fake trailer for Hobo, like a teaser trailer, and our shot was the girl burning.
yeah, it was just one long shot pushing in on a school bus burning onto the window, and then after 10 seconds, the little girl hits the window and starts screaming. And we shot that. The idea came from Nick Bateman, who plays Ivan in the movie, and he thought it would be a great idea for a teaser for the film. And so we went out and we shot it, and then I cut it, and it was just so horrifying. We thought that if we put it out there, people would just be disgusted with us and they wouldn't allow us to make the film. So we held it back, and somehow it made its way into the movie.
God knows how.
One of you gets to play. All you homeless people, you're it. Everyone else, you get to kill them. All of them. Otherwise...
We're gonna kill the rest of your children!
Ladies and gentlemen, one more thing before you...
The threat to the hobos is being unleashed onto the populace.
A little quick trick there when Ivan throws his skate into the reporter's chest. What I did is I shot Nick throwing the skate, and I did a quick whip pan. And then what we did is we attached the skate onto George, and I did another whip pan into George and had him react to getting hit by a skate. And I just cut those two shots together on the whip pan so that it would just go seamlessly. And I think it works pretty well.
Grab your guns, boys! Grab your fucking guns!
Here we're going to have a really cool cameo coming up.
Some dead bodies. At least he's only shooting the dirty cops.
Oh, dirty cop!
Who's that?
Yeah, that's me right there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that was my we're all dirty cops scene.
How did it feel to get the uniform on, Dave?
It felt pretty good, actually. It felt pretty good.
You at one point in your life wanted to be a cop.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if I was 18 or 19 again. I'm closer to 50 now. I'd have to start over, really.
All these little cutaways, like this one right here, they were shot with the Canon T2i. And basically after we wrapped principal production on Hobo, we got together, I guess, a small little crew, probably like 5 or 6 of us, that went out for 2 days and we just shot a bunch of random craziness. And a couple of these moments are a part of that craziness. There's a lot that wasn't used, but we had a lot of fun doing it. And we just basically, it was a great way to get some extra footage without having to spend any money.
Except for spending it on fireworks.
And gasoline.
This is one of my favorite scenes in
And
the
pizza.
movie. This whole sequence. I really, I just love Abby's performance. I love the large man. And then when Rucker makes his appearance, it's just, I don't know, it's one of the darker scenes in the movie for me, and it just, the tone and seriousness of it is pretty...
Yeah, and going back to the influences for the large man, that first thing you ever sleep with a prostitute kid, I was working on my dad's wood mill one day with him, and this old man came to watch us, and he ended up locking the keys in his truck, so my dad gave him a drive home. And I swear to God, a minute and a half into the drive to his house, the guy turns to my dad and says, "You ever sleep with a prostitute?" With me in the back. We dropped him off half a mile down the road, and his wife, this kindly old lady, was out front in their little house hanging the clothes on the laundry line. It's pretty sad.
But there's even more to it. He said he referred to prostitutes as smoky bacon.
Oh, that's right.
He said, smoky bacon, that's what we used to call them.
Yeah.
And I guess back home here, if you go to the grocery store and
You ask
when
a
you're
bag
at the
boy.
counter,
A particular grocery store.
yes, I'm not going to say the name of that
Yeah,
grocery
no,
store.
I know.
But you go to the bag boy and you say, I want some smoky bacon. And I guess here some of the pimps work as bag boys. And I didn't believe this story. And it turns out my cousin worked at one of these grocery stores. And one day over dinner, I brought out smoky bacon. And she's like, oh, you mean the prostitutes that hang outside the grocery store? And I said, yeah. And I couldn't believe that the story was true.
Don't hurt me. I'll do anything.
Well, that's not even a fucking option. Now, I'll tell you what. You make sure that I enjoy what you give me.
Molly is just so amazing in this scene. I didn't even really have to give her much direction. She just like put herself in this mode. Like Molly has this amazing ability to be able to be so happy one second and then like the next second she can bring herself to tears.
It's crazy. Because as soon as we yelled cut, she'd be Molly again. And
Yeah.
she'd just get right back into it.
I'm a cop. Don't do anything fucking stupid. Shut up!
This next line from the large man came courtesy of...
Oh man, I don't even know if we could tell this story.
Probably not.
She's just a fuck tube.
Oh God.
The short story is...
The nicest guy in the world. Did something stupid when he was young.
But he doesn't do stupid things anymore.
He called a girlfriend of his a fuck tube once, and it maybe ended his relationship.
Yeah. Well, he didn't call her a fuck tube. What happened was he was hanging out with some boys at a party, and he was trying to act all tough and cool, and someone asked him how his girlfriend was. Sorry, Dave. But they asked him how his girlfriend was doing, and he just referred to her as a fuck tube. And supposedly that ruined him in the town. But he was so happy that we put it into the film.
We just ruined your life in this town now.
They're not bad people. They're just scared.
You're not afraid what they'll do to us when they come here.
We have to figure something out.
I love the shopping cart with the large man corpse in it.
Jordan's amazing on this shoot.
Or gaffer.
Jordan Shella. Ian Kareem were...
Him and his crew had such a task ahead of them, and he just took it on. And if it weren't for him, our film wouldn't look this beautiful. So these shots, too, were done after principal photography.
We needed a transition to go from night to day. So we decided to pick up some sunrise shots there.
That homeless guy just sleeping there doesn't really quite make sense to the story of the movie.
We fucked up. Really, all the homeless people are being hunted, and this guy's just crashed out, leisurely sleeping away.
In the middle of the day. He could be dead.
I guess he could be dead. Maybe he just doesn't give a fuck.
Maybe he doesn't.
Died in his sleep.
Yeah.
Poisoned.
Yeah.
So this location here is an abandoned sale asylum that's back home. It was recently just burned down by vandals. Behind this building, they've also shot the local popular Canadian TV show called The Trailer Park Boys. And I remember we were trying to find a location for the end of the movie, and we were looking everywhere, all over the city, and we couldn't find anything. And Rob and I decided to take a drive out towards the ocean because we were getting a very important phone call that was basically telling us whether or not we were going to make the movie or not. So we thought, fittingly, we should just probably go to the ocean because if we're not going to make the movie, then we can just dunk ourselves into the ocean and that would be it. But on our way to the ocean, we decided to stop by this location. And when we took a walk behind it, we were just shocked with amazement at how perfect it was. And it was so run down, we were basically able to do whatever we wanted with it. So we were able to just plaster the walls with spray paint.
Yeah, what we did was when we were finally given permission to use the place is that our production coordinator, Shauna Hatt, had her son collect his friends and go out with the production department, the design department, and they had cases of spray paint, and they just went to town. The spray paint kids spray painted the hell out of this place, and it looks amazing. Like,
Yeah.
again, you know, an amazing production design on a shoestring. These kids did it for nothing. They just went out there and went off and had fun spray painting.
Let's fuck.
The hockey skates are, I guess they're kind of like inspired by a Canadian, like old Canadian slasher film by the name of Curtains, where there's this great scene where the killer is chasing down this girl on a small ice rink on a lake, and the killer is just skating towards her wearing this crazy old lady mask. And I remember in like one of the original drafts of the script, Ivan was going to burst into this apartment wearing an old lady mask.
But we traded that in for skates.
Job somewhere and we'll start saving up. No, TV. We gotta travel light.
Right. Fuck TV.
I always liked that line.
Fuck TV.
Yeah, I always thought it came from the heart.
I like my TV for watching movies on.
Well, yeah.
But I don't like my TV for
Watching TV.
watching TV.
Whatever, Jersey Shore. He may pretend he doesn't like TV, but he's fucking fans of the situation.
Now you're just making this commentary lame, Rob. No one wants to talk about Jersey Shore on
Okay.
Hobo with a Shotgun commentary.
Well, I just had to embarrass you.
You boys stop picking on each other, please.
Do you fucking see me? Do you fucking hear me?
I love the score in this scene. Ron Graham from the UK was the Obsidian Orchestra, and he did a bunch of music for our earlier stuff too when he was the Gallows Flame. We were in trouble for this song. We really were in love with the temp track song that we had in the sequence, and we couldn't afford it. So we reached out to him and asked him to see what he could do, and he sent us this track, and it was, you know, for me and I think for Jason, that we both loved it more than the temp track, so we were just blown away.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron just fucking killed it for us on this movie. He worked his ass off. Originally in the temp, it was a Riz Ortolani track, and we have a Riz Ortolani track at the beginning of the film from a movie from the 70s called Mark of the Devil, which is a film I love. And basically what we did before we even wrote the script, we put together like a little soundtrack that we thought would help inspire the writing of the film. And then once we got our first draft of that script, I made another soundtrack that kind of had a song to go with every single scene. And then right before we went into pre-production, I made another soundtrack just to get us pumped up to shoot the film. And I just think that music is just, it lends itself to visuals so well, and it was just inspiring to be able to listen to tracks that I thought would really inspire the tone of some of the scenes. And some of those tracks made their way into the movie.
Abigail.
How about that neck appliance, eh?
Yeah, it's
Look at that.
I love that. It's amazing.
It makes me shudder every time I see that saw cutting through her flesh.
Know me.
And in this scene here, we'll just call this one Old Smokey. He looks like he's smoking up pretty good. Maybe he's too young to smoke, but, oh well, we'll just let him smoke.
Yeah, that toaster gig I think was like in one of the first drafts as well too.
Yeah.
He had always said that the toaster electrocution made him come.
You scum carving bugs! I'm gonna make you regret a whole lot of living. And teach you some respect.
All right, man, you win. You win. Just tell me what you want. All right, my dad owns this fucking town.
Greg Smith is Slick. We were so happy and so lucky to get him to be in this movie. When we went to Sundance a couple years ago with our short film Treevenge, we met Greg for the first time there, and he was just so awesome and just so hospitable, and he took great care of us there, and he was just such an awesome guy to hang out with. And I just knew I wanted to work out with him, or I just wanted to not work out with him, but I wanted to work with him. And I don't work out with anybody. I don't work out at all anymore. But I loved his energy, and I found it infectious. And at the time, I didn't know if he would work as Slick because he was just such a nice guy. But I knew that he works hard, and he was so giving that I just knew it would work. And so I didn't audition him. We just brought him down. We just started working on it with him, and we did a couple rehearsal days with him, and he just jumped right into the part. And it was such a pleasure.
Hey, Dad.
Now this here, the school bus, the ghost children, this kind of throws a lot of people to the left field. It's kind of unlike anything else in the movie. It's like this ghost ship had just sailed into the film. It's like this whole supernatural side of the movie comes out in this weird way. And originally, we shot 2 kids that were burnt walking out of the school bus coming for Slick. And they looked great. It was fine. It's just we experimented with the idea of taking them out and what it would do. And it had this effect that was just a little bit more haunting. And so we decided to leave the kids out.
Yeah, sometimes less is more, and that's one of the cases where it really worked.
Yeah.
Just fix her! Shut!
When we were shooting that scene of Rugger flying down that hallway,
We nearly took his head off.
Yeah, we nearly took his head off. Basically, if you went through the doors of that hallway really fast, pieces of the ceiling would fall off, and just like it was like inches away from his head, the ceiling just came right down as he was flying.
It was the actual light fixture, like the whole light fixture came down and swung like just by his...
Movie was almost over right then and there. So these are the Plague. The Plague are a group of bounty hunters, and I'll tell you a little bit of backstory behind them is that for us, they've been around forever. They've been around since the beginning of time. And as you'll see later on inside their crypt, they have pictures of some of the bounties they've collected over the years. And so you'll see a picture of Joan of Arc. You'll see a picture of Jesus Christ. If you look closely, you'll see a picture of the Easter Bunny and a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Fucking do it! Come on! Stay with me!
But they were very inspired by John and I growing up in the 80s and being subjected to crazy high concept ideas. Like we grew up with things such as like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, He-Man, Transformers, Voltron, Mask. And so these guys kind of just step right out of that world. To me, they fit right in with like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I feel that they could have just stepped right out of that cartoon.
Yeah, for sure. For me, my original thought for the bounty hunters came from the Muppet movie with this frog hunter who travels around dressed in black with a harpoon gun killing frogs. I always thought that was kind of cool.
We had to wait a long time for that lightning to strike. It took hours to shoot that. Never been so patient in my life. Here's a moment. We actually did a piece of this in the original Hobo trailer that never made it into the trailer.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
this hospital scene between the Hobo and the Abbey existed from the very, very, very beginning.
And you can see a little hint of it in Treevenge. I put it on the TV. There's like this moment where Molly, who also starred in Treevenge, her and her younger sister are watching television before the big tree lighting ceremony, and you get to see a little clip of the Abby character at the time, played by Rob's girlfriend, saying, "You can't solve all the world's problems with a shotgun," and then Dave Brunt saying, "It's all I know."
I have to go back to work.
Please don't.
You should put them in your classroom.
Should we talk about the thing in his hand?
So,
There's a thing in his hand. Can you guess what it is? Anyone?
they'll never guess what it is.
No, I know.
Basically, there was a little bit of a backstory to the Hobo that Rugger came up with, where he was a Vietnam vet, and he got a piece of shrapnel stuck in his head, and that's why he's got that big scar on the left side of his head there. And right there, he is passing Abby his Purple Heart. And no joke, we shot it. There was this whole thing with him and having a Purple Heart, and he gives it to Abby. And I just thought it wasn't right. I just thought when I cut the film together that it just didn't really work, and I don't think the audience needed to know his past. For me, the character is very much like the man with no name, and I wanted him to come into the city with no past. And it just didn't feel right that it was a crazy Vietnam vet running around shooting people with a shotgun.
Yeah, no, exactly. That kid, just so you know, is supposed to be overdosing.
I think you get the point. Something bad's happening.
Either rabies or overdosing.
I'd like to just think that kid is inside the hobo's mind. So this was a scene that has been in the script since the very first draft, and it's a scene we've all loved. It was always one of our favorite scenes, and we couldn't be happier with how Rugger took it and played it out. He does such an amazing job with it.
Yeah, I was sitting off to the side while this was going on, just getting goosebumps. It's just cool when you love a scene and you have a favorite scene in a movie that you wrote, and then you see the actor performing, and it's just better than you ever could have thought it would have been. A pretty cool moment.
I remember when we shot this scene, it was so hard to keep the babies from not crying. And we eventually got them to a point, it was about like 2 a.m, I can't remember. And we got them to settle down, and they were asleep, and everything was great. And Rob was outside shooting 2nd B unit, and they were blowing up the Drake's head outside. And that explosion that took place was so loud, it shook through the interior of the warehouse that we were shooting in. And sure enough, those babies just woke up screaming.
Well, that's the punishment you guys get for being able to be inside and seeing both of your favorite scene in the movie and enjoying this wonderful performance. While I was out in the freezing cold trying
Dave,
to
can you put this guy in line?
shoot, like, the last shot of the movie.
Yeah, don't listen to him, folks. He's just whine, whine, whine. Don't listen to that.
And like I said, if you need babies to cry, come to me. This time I made a room full of babies cry. And look at this, great. Now you got babies crying. What more could you want?
Well, yeah, we rolled on that moment. This scene here was another moment where Rob was outside shooting B unit, and we might have got a little too carried away.
This scene really pissed me off for a long time. I think it was probably our most heated argument in the cut. Would you say, Jay?
Probably.
Yeah,
That's the trouble right there. Start getting ticked off, you can't do the shoot.
Well, it wasn't during the shoot, it was during the editing.
I'm about to experience a massive amount of pain here
Even
coming in.
editing.
Jason hurt me in the next shot
stick
here.
with the job. Never mind the banner. You just stick with the job. And
So you'll see-
argue and fight about it afterwards, after the fact.
You'll see right there that the sword explodes on that doctor's leg.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it took a long time to set up the squib on the stunt performer. So we needed a backup ready to go really quickly. So Rob offered up his own body, and they attached a squib to the back of his leg. And when that sword hit his leg, the pressure of the sword hitting it and combined with the explosion of the squib, it just kind of more, I don't know, like impacted rather than like exploded.
Yeah,
Actually, it would be real because at the back of your leg, you got veins, you got blood vessels, you got
that's it.
arteries. So
Nick hit the squib.
So I wouldn't worry about that.
Nick hit right on the squib when it detonated, and it
blew the sword up.
Fucking hurt.
How do you blow up a steel sword when you cut someone's leg with it?
Well, that was made out of wood.
All right.
It's the movies, Dave.
It's the movies. Well, what can you do?
I guess with this lighting here, I was really inspired by Hype Williams. He uses a lot of red in his music videos, and I love the lighting in his in his work. Kareem and Rob and I were very inspired by our youth of growing up watching exploitation movies, and some of the color palettes in this film are inspired by films like Suspiria, Savage Streets, Vice Squad, Mission Thunderbolt.
Class of 1984.
Yeah, and Class of 1984.
You know, folks, working with these guys over the years was a pretty amazing thing. It was fun to do, and all of it was positive, for me and these guys, too, because, two heads are better than one, and we all work together is the thing I like about it the most, It's those moments that are important.
Can you remember your favorite moment of working on the movie?
Probably that little take that Adam Burke and Mike did where I was sitting in the police car. That's just one of them.
Oh, like a behind-the-scenes thing you guys...
Yeah, the little behind-the-scenes clip I did, yeah.
I've seen that. It's quite funny. You're interrogating them as a police officer.
Yeah.
He gave the making of crew a pretty hard time when he was a cop. It was quite funny.
Yeah. Wish you folks had been there to see that. Probably would have laughed like crazy. We don't have that here, do we? No way we can get that. I'd like to see that from...
Yeah, we'll get it for you.
That shot, the sun is coming up. How long did we have to shoot the exterior of this?
We had something like 45 minutes to shoot all
that
the exteriors of that hospital, and it was just insane. We had light towers, or rain towers, and it was just so difficult. There was a lot more I wanted to do, a lot more coverage I would have loved to have gotten, but
the sun was coming up.
The sun was coming up, and there's nothing you can do when the sun comes up. You can't stop that.
And that location probably wasn't going to have us back.
No, I think we burned that location.
It's by a hospital that is the
NS.
Yeah. And, we were going late and doing crazy things, and we were affecting their patients probably in an unfortunate way.
Yeah, it's probably not a great thing when you have a lot of patients who are mentally ill, and then drives up to the hospital as two guys covered in armor dragging a coffin to the hospital.
Yeah.
Do you want to see him?
No, I trust you guys.
So a lot of people ask about this little monster that's in the little cave right there. That was an idea that came on later in the scriptwriting process. I guess that would be the Plague's pet. It's like their dog, and beating it is like playing with it. I got the feeling that thing loves to be played with rough.
It's an oceanic giant squid. Architeuthis ducks, as a species name is known. They can grow from 30 to 60 feet long and weigh a couple tons easy. Yeah, those are the arms of the giant squid, known to the North Atlantic, South Atlantic, some places in the tropics.
Does he have a pet name?
No, it doesn't. The only thing that God forgot to give that creature was fear. It isn't afraid of anything. But they're very rare. They're not easily found. They usually stay deep, real deep.
Do you know scientists say for every giant squid in the world, for every person in the world, there's a giant squid? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I heard it once before. I don't agree.
You don't believe that?
Because they're too damn rare. Hardly ever seen. Only once in a while. One of them washed up on the shores of Newfoundland back in the 60s. It's only like a 10-footer, but still. Still a very tricky animal, a very evil one. It's like I said, it doesn't know fear.
Here we have a gear up scene, and one of our favorite moments in movies are the classic gear up scene. So obviously we had to have our own.
And in this one she builds a lawnmower shield.
Yeah. And snap bracelets. I don't know And you guys out there remember snap bracelets, but those were the shit back in the 90s.
I honestly I never knew what a snap bracelet was until we were doing the second unit stuff on that. I'd never seen those.
Did you know that in Dartmouth, elementary school students, eventually they were banned for them? Because inside those snap bracelets are like a little piece of metal. And kids would shave off the outside padding, and you get this like really razor sharp piece of blade underneath. And those would be sometimes turned against students.
That come over CTV News. I remember that like yesterday.
We invented that in Dartmouth.
Yeah. That was like the Dartmouth bracelet.
The Dartmouth shank, we called them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, we're all standing in their home. So maybe we should show them some goddamn respect.
Here's Abby giving her her massive speech to the world.
Yeah.
She killed it when we did this on set. Like the whole crew stopped and applauded and cheered. It was. You remember?
Yeah, I remember because we were like, well, her speech is so great and everyone on the crew cheered. Shouldn't the crowd that's watching her cheer as well?
I know.
And we had to stop for a second. Like, no,
what are we
that's
gonna
not
do?
right. That's not
Yeah.
right.
But it was so.
But it does give them pause.
It does.
They let her run away.
Yeah.
I love the pink in that. It looks like the pink in From Beyond.
Now you hear that, folks? Got a feller here likes pink. I won't go any further.
Pink is one of Jason's favorite
It
colors.
is. Hot pink is my favorite color.
Hot pink, eh?
Yeah. And this was one of the great things about this location is that it had these two upper levels, and we could put the Drake's audience as almost they're like in a stadium. And what was great is when Rutger Hauer arrived on set, one of the films that we talked about a lot during prep is my favorite film of his called The Blood of Heroes. And when he walked onto this set, he loved it, and he looked at me and just said, "Wow, it's like The Blood of Heroes." And I was like, "I know." So yeah, there's a lot of local friends up there.
Yeah, I mean, we got our friends in this community had our back, and they came out in droves for this night. It was like a stadium call, background not getting paid. And they came out and stayed out all night for a couple nights for us for nothing.
Yep.
And it was.
It'd be a pretty sorry-looking film without them too.
Yeah, they really helped us, make the movie live. In fact, a lot of the background in this whole movie, we haven't really talked much about them, but they killed it like throughout the whole thing and just went well beyond the Call of Duty.
Yeah, everyone in the background's giving an amazing performance.
Yeah.
You could I think you could totally stop the movie at any of those background performances and see that everyone's totally into it.
I remember when I was doing the trailer with Jason Eisener and Rob Cotterill and John Davies. When the trailer was done, the day that Jason Eisener said that I gave him gold, that was the most gratifying comment he could ever make to me. That was a real nice thing to hear.
You did give us gold. And actually that little moment where the hobo says, "You're crushing my smokes," that's actually comes from your mouth.
Yeah.
And I remember we shot this little 30-second spot for Fantastic Fest called Report Card. And we did this. You were sitting on a rocking chair shooting stuffed animals, and they were exploding.
Yeah.
And you went too far back on your rocking chair, and you fell over, and you landed on your smokes, and you just screamed, "You crushed my smokes!"
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but laugh.
You whipped.
No, that was.
Dave, you whipped your cigarette pack at me. You were so pissed. You were like, "You crushed my smokes."
Didn't whipping at you, whipping at the car.
That's true, you did.
Whipped him at you.
Well,
listen to this guy. Don't know what he's talking about half the time anyway. Don't mind him. He'll be all right in the morning.
Leaving nothing but wreckage and fucked up memories.
Every time I find somebody like you who wants to be a hero.
So there were two people who were playing Rip, the plague member on the motorbike. One was Nick Bateman, who plays Ivan, and the other was Clancy, who's a buddy of ours who he drives his own motorbike, and he let us use his motorbike for the movie. And he also plays a punk, and he's the one holding Rob's dad as the two punks in the bumper cars crush his head. And he was a real trooper. It was awesome having him out.
What do you think?
Replace Hobo.
I guess that's the second time we hear Rip's voice. And it was really hard coming up with a good sound for Rip. Because we never really thought like what he would sound like. To me, like these guys, there's no one underneath that armor. They're spiritual demons. And so whatever was going to come out of their voice, I knew it had to sound very hollow. And our sound design team just killed it. And I don't know, I find it's like very influenced by Megatron from Transformers.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember at the end we spent so much time figuring out the logistics for this scene. Like, how does everything work? How does it make sense? And watching it now, it's just a bunch of craziness. I don't know why we worried.
Yeah, the original ending to this movie was just insane. It was called Promageddon. And at the time, in the script, Drake owned his own racetrack, and he had a truck that would race around the track, dragging with chains a mattress that just dragged across the ground, and Abby was attached to the mattress. And he called this game Promageddon, and she was in her prom dress, and there were suitors who were driving four-wheelers and dirt bikes, and they were wearing purple suits with bike helmets on, and they were racing around the track trying to jump on top of the mattress, and they were basically trying to rip off Abby's clothes and rape her as it was speeding around the racetrack. And then the Hobo showed up in a motorized grocery cart, and he raced around the track, blasting away the suitors, and eventually shooting the chains off, cutting Abby free. But budget wouldn't allow us to come up, or wouldn't allow us to realize that scene, so we were thinking, okay, what could be more fucked up and crazy than Promageddon? And we came up with the idea of Bone Shard Arm. Now, Bone Shard Arm is something that was chanted on set quite often. Everyone was so excited about the Bone Shard Arm and what Abby was going to do with her Bone Shard. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in a movie stab their opponent with their Bone Shard.
No.
No, I think it's a first.
Definitely a first. And then to pry the manhole cover up with the bone as it snaps.
The usual manhole cover weighs about 150 pounds.
Yeah, that would hurt. That's a lot of pressure on her bone.
Yeah, that's why she's a hero.
Inch and a half of cast steel.
Yep.
It's heavy.
This is something that existed too from the very beginning. Is the standoff between the Hobo and Rip.
Yeah, but originally they were supposed to battle. Originally they were supposed to be a big sword versus gunfight.
That's
here.
true.
Yeah, this was always the climax. We just
lost
the
the battle part.
Left the climax.
We went straight to the climax, but Rip always did what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he's always had respect for the Hobo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that respect shows, especially when he lights a match off the Hobo's cigarette in the coffin.
Listen to me. You can't fall asleep now. Hear me?
I remember when we were shooting this moment, we were also fighting Sun.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so worried because this was one of the biggest moments of the movie. For me, I've said this before, when people ask me what the movie's about, I say it's about a grizzly bear trapped in a zoo.
I just want to go to the zoo and see the bears with you.
And here Abby says that she wants to go to the zoo, and like the Hobo, he doesn't belong in a zoo, and neither should bears be.
Don't leave.
Bears don't belong in a zoo.
Molly sat on that cold, wet ground covered in blood for, 3 nights?
Yeah.
She was
Never
a total
complained
trooper,
once.
not a complaint. Oh, man, she was amazing.
This tricycle here, this was just a piece of garbage that was lying, 30 feet away from this little spot. And Rugger eyed it out, and he grabbed it, and he put it in between his path and between him and Drake. And he just wanted to kick over that tricycle, which I like. I think I don't know, to me I think it represents just fucking kicking childhood in the face or something. I don't know. Or smartening childhood up, smartening up the youth.
Just for killing my son, you made my town a lot more interesting. You're so fucking crazy.
There's this great moment here too where like the Drake holds the gun up to his face, and that was totally Brian's idea. He brought that.
Drop the fucking gun, you cock-sucking garbage bag!
In just a second here, you're going to see another Dave Brunt cameo. How did it feel to be part of that little SWAT team there?
Yeah, it felt pretty good. It felt like I was right in there with the action.
Put it down and walk away! You're only 10.
There you are.
There I am right there.
Take an aim at the hobo.
It's Hobo versus Hobo.
Yeah, pretty much.
I remember we originally were going to have all the civilians fire off their guns. And our props master was so excited to fire off a gun because we only fired a gun off for real once during the making of this movie. And he brought all this fake ammunition. And we didn't get to use any of it. And he was really excited that we were just going to let it all loose this night. But time permitting, we weren't able to fire off a single real shot.
Yeah. Yeah, he was so stoked and geared up and ready to go. He had his whole arm, like all the arms out and the bullets and everything. And as the time clicked away, eventually the AD had to go. Jason Shipley, our AD, had to go tell him that we weren't going to shoot.
Well, we shot this movie in 24 days, and that would not have happened if it weren't for Jason Shipley. And just quickly, I'm going to point out that 2 of those guys getting shot were John, the writer of the movie, and Rob, the producer of the movie. And Dave Brunt takes one of the final shots on the hobo. Oh, another thing I wanted to quickly talk about here is that sound you hear of the train. That's the same sound you hear at the very beginning of the movie. And the idea, it's very subtle, but I wanted to introduce the movie of the sound of a train. And then I thought, I don't know, maybe in the back of my mind, it's almost as if the hobo spirit is the sound of a train. And so when he dies there and you hear the train taking off, that's as if the hobo spirit is taking off. I don't know, that might sound kind of lame.
Kind of. but Jay, is the hobo dead?
I think he goes to hell. I think if there's a next movie, it's in hell.
Well, there's one thing that I'm surprised no one has mentioned yet, any of the reviews or whatever, but on that shot, on the pan over to the gun, the hobo blinks.
Yeah, I know. So.
And something else no one's mentioned. Right now we're listening to a theme song from one of Canada's all-time greatest cartoons.
There's actually a great story about this song actually making it into the movie.
This is one of the songs I had on those soundtracks that I made for getting us pumped up for the movie. And it's by Lisa Lougheed. It's called Run With Us, and it's from one of our favorite Canadian cartoons called The Raccoons. And I just thought the theme and the sound of that music just fit so well with the end credits. And it was, I guess, a little bit of a battle to get the rights to the song.
Yeah, well, we basically, we'd blown our music budget out of the water, and this was one of the songs that we were like, okay, it's the credit roll, we can't afford this movie, so we took it off the list. And when we went back to the rights holders and told them that we just couldn't afford the song and we're sorry, they were like, No, we want our song to be in your movie. We want to be a part of it. And I said, we'll do whatever we have to do. And so we made it work, and we got it basically for next to nothing. And they really, came on board and wanted to be part of a Canadian movie.
Yeah, it was cool. I guess we're just about done here. Like I was saying before, we would not have been able to make this movie without such a talented, amazing crew that we had. We fought hard to bring this movie back home to Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and use our friends and crew from back here that we've worked with in the past. And they just brought their heart and soul to this movie. And I think you can see it on the screen.
Are you going to cry now?
No.
That was a heartfelt moment.
Dave, is there anything else you want to say to the people out there before we take off?
Yeah, I'd just like to say one thing. I hope everybody enjoys the movie. you know, like I said, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours, and we all worked together to make this possible. I really hope everybody enjoys this, and thank you very much for all the support and everything. Thank you and good night. This is David C. Brunt signing off.
Thanks, Captain.
One more thing I want to say before we take off is that we like to stay true to our inspirations, and it's very important for us to stay inspired, and we're always keeping things around us to be inspired, whether it be movie posters or comic books, films from our past childhood, our crew and family and friends. We just surrounded ourselves with constant inspiration so that we would always be inspired. And
it's always good to surround yourselves with things that you're comfortable with, that you're used to, you grew up with. I grew up in the early 60s.
Especially when you're going to do something crazy like making your first feature
movie.
film. It's good to surround yourself with supporting people.
It is. It's true. And we lived in the what we called the clubhouse copy, and we had everything around us like that. It was like home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And making this movie was like home.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sitting down and listening to us ramble on. Hopefully there'll be more commentaries in the future. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Bye.